About to do some sauna chronicles, and for this episode with the sauna chronicles, I want to touch on how people tend to over complicate fat loss. Right? That's what I want to talk about in this video. This live video is about how people over complicate fat loss. Right? Now, with this being said, man, y'all gotta. One thing I want to make sure that I push with this video is fat loss is real short, simple, and sweet. All right, caloric deficit, caloric deficit, caloric deficit, caloric deficit. All right, it's really short, sweet, and simple. This is why I say people complicate it, because if they just kept that in mind, they would see how simple it would be and see how simple it is to lower body fat. Right? Now, if you're new to my channel and you're probably looking at me, you're like, okay, yeah, he muscular, he got size on him, but he ain't lean. Bro, just go back, check my record, bro. I mean, I'm not in a cut phase or fat loss phase right now. I'm a coach. I do periodization and I do bodybuilding. So I do periodization. All right. So I'm not trying to cut and stay lean all year round. I'm putting on muscle and size. That's another video, right? But yeah, people complicate. Look, my words get twisted. Fat loss, meaning they end up doing a lot of extra stuff that's unnecessary, or they're not doing the right things or enough things to make it more easier for them. All right. So with my method, tri-pillar physique method, I teach people how to make fat loss a lot more seamless. I also teach people how to make building muscle a lot more seamless. It's pretty straightforward with muscle though, building muscle for the most part. Um, but it can get complicated. So that's different. Back to fat loss. And look, if y'all are interested in hearing about this and y'all want to engage on this topic, throw a like on the video and feel free to comment if you want to, right? If you got some information that you could pass on that or if you got any questions or concerns, feel free to comment in the chat. But this is going to be the first episode of my Sauna Chronicles, man. You know what I'm saying? And this is the first topic I want to hit on. So let's get it. So yeah, like I said, man, at the end of the day, fat loss is really as simple as caloric deficit, right? So if you're focusing on caloric deficit, you're going to lower body fat. That's finished, done, complete. All right. So one way that I think that people make fat loss more complicated is by trying to do a lot of extra stuff and really, really making the fat loss process more difficult and harder. All right. One thing specifically, doing an extreme um, caloric deficit, not eating enough, and starving themselves. All right. This makes fat loss so much harder, man. This makes fat loss so much harder. And there's a lot of people who do this, man. I've had clients come to me and they're like, I don't know what's going on, man. I'm not even eating that much food every day. And, I'm not burning fat. I'm not burning fat. And I'm like, okay, so what are you eating? Yeah, I had this one lady tell me, and I'm not gonna say no names, right? But I had this one lady tell me, she said, I'm eating 2 apples. I'm eating 2 apples, a can of tuna, and a banana a day. And I told her right away, I said, look, ma'am, I'm not trying to be, you know, offensive or nothing like that. But I'm like, look, you're not gonna burn fat. You're not gonna lose any more weight. You're not gonna lose weight. You've reached a plateau, and you ain't gonna be able to pass this plateau until you make some changes. And she was like, well, what changes do I need to make? I was like, this may sound scary to you, but you're gonna have to eat more food. She was like, what? That doesn't make sense. Why would I eat more food if I'm looking to lose weight? I'm like, ma'am, you probably only eating like 300-400 calories a day. That's terribly unhealthy. Your body is not going to function right if you only eating.
versus 15, 20 minutes just running.
Yeah, that's real. Oh, you said 50, 15, 20 minutes, you said?
Yeah, well, like I try to do like 15 minutes, like on an incline walk, doing a steady pace,
Oh,
get my heart rate up versus running for like 10 minutes.
yeah.
You know?
Oh, heck yeah. Nah, I mean, that's a good approach, man. And yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
sure. But yeah, my phone overheated up in here, you know.
Oh yeah,
There you go.
mine does the same thing, man. Sitting here for too long.
But yeah, y'all. So I'm back, man. My phone ended up overheating, and but I'm back, man. But anyway, so I'm gonna finish off where I was at. So I think, yeah, I was talking about cardio. So yeah, people, some people they'll overdo the cardio, man, and that could hit you in the foot too, because if you're over, like man, I know people who did cardio say they do it every day. I mean, they're like, yo, I'm cardio. I'm on a treadmill for an hour, hour and a half. I'm running three miles a day. I'm doing all this stuff, and man, you don't want to base your fat loss on cardio because it's just you're not gonna be able to do that. And people that I know that think, all right, well, I'm gonna kind of cut back on the lifting. I'm gonna cut back on the lifting and then start. Yo, this drink got me. Hold on, put my head backwards, man. It's kind of blocking my face a little. All right, people like, yo, I'm gonna skip lifting as much and I'm gonna focus more on cardio and do cardio more. And I'm like, bro, that's the worst thing that you could do because muscle mass. There's so many studies that talk about the benefits of having muscle. First and foremost, there's studies coming out talking about how having muscle mass can help with longevity. Um, it helps with speeding the metabolism. Having lean muscle and a good amount of lean muscle can even lower your mobility rate. You know what I'm saying? So you need muscle. And when people just kind of be like, you know what, I'm just going to run more so and jog more so, you're liable to potentially lose whatever gains you might have got. And I'm not saying all of it, but that's just not a good approach. So, you know, I just tell people, man, focus on training and lifting. All right, bro. Focus on training and lifting, and really making intention on doing more so lifting, weight training, calisthenics, and then using cardio as an addition. And up that cardio amount accordingly. So if you start off with doing, say, I don't know, 8,000 steps a day walking, and that's your cardio, start there. If you could generate some type of fat loss with 8,000 steps a day of walking, and bringing your calories or your caloric intake down some, then ride that wave. Your plateau, and you're like, damn, all right, I'm not losing any more fat. Say 1 week you didn't lose any weight. You kind of gained a half pound or so, or a pound. Then it's time to change. All right, y'all. I'm about to hop off here, man, because phone keep heating up and whatnot. But I'm sure y'all caught the gist. If y'all want me to do another live, kind of going more in depth on some of these concepts of, you know, um, pretty much how people overcomplicate fat loss, let me know. Remember, guys, phases and periodization is super important.